My link.
Okay, Mark sent you his link. Yes, from Mark.
Click here to join.
Yeah.
1 minute. Click here to join.
Right.
On meeting.
Yes.
Open Zoom.
Yes. Oh, crap. Great.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. I think we're all here, aren't we? Everyone we're expecting?
Is Mike on? I don't see him.
Well, he's probably under Mark Johnson.
Yeah, Mike, you can rename yourself, please.
Got it. He's not going to know how to change the name. Okay, you're on, Mike.
Come on, I can hear everybody.
Okay. I don't know. Are you on a computer?
Yeah. Yeah. Join with video.
Join with video. Well, as long as you can hear and speak.
I can hear and see everybody.
Okay. We'll leave it as that right now. Does there anybody have anything else that he could do, try? I don't know anything else. Okay. Mike's on. He's the second Mark.
Are we ready to start?
Yes, now we are.
Is Tom on? I see his name there. Is he here?
Not yet.
All right, let's start without Tom. He's coming soon. Let's all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, how do we want to start this, guys? You want to have a little, Amy or Dave, do you want to say something to start this off? Or we'll go right into it?
I think Dave wanted.
You're muted, Amy.
I think Dave wanted me to just make a really brief statement. I don't want to take up a lot of time. We appreciate these workshops. We think they're really helpful. Thank you for having it. We're here to answer any additional questions that the board has. We did provide, a couple of days ago, Ramya sent answers questions that were raised at the public hearing. And many of the answers referred to the DEIS. So I just want to spend like 1 minute on, just for the public's benefit, this process started with, actually it was 2 scoping sessions, because we scoped it first for the original applicant, and we scoped it again for this applicant. And that scope formed the basis of the DEIS. And so all these issues regarding traffic and the water and, the kind of big ticket issues, sewer and students and things like that, they're all addressed in the final EIS. And in fact, we went through another round of question and answer before we adopted the final FEIS, as you all will recall. So, and I understand that people don't want to get online and go through volumes and volumes of documents. Like, I get it. But, I just want to say, I think the public's comments, they're all valid comments. I mean, they are things that I would have brought up, myself But I'd just like to, remind everybody that, we hired experts, you hired experts at our expense. We went through all of these comments, and what the public hearings about are really about the site plan and more of, the issues that relate to the plan itself. Now, obviously, anybody can say whatever they want at a public hearing. I just wanted to point out that a lot of those answers, we answered it in a document, which I'm sure will be made public. And we also, the FEIS is online, along with the DEIS and all the supporting materials. So all the things that people were asking about, traffic studies and things like that, they're in there. They're all in there, and your consultants reviewed it for accuracy and made us change certain things in certain instances, which we did. So I just wanted to kind of lead off with that. We have with us tonight Shay from TMS about the dock issue, but unless something happened that I don't know about, I don't think we have much of an update. I still think we're going back and forth with the DEC and SHPO. And then I think you might have somebody from your traffic engineering firm to answer some questions about traffic that came up at the last meeting. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and answer any questions that you all may have.
I see you're here.
You're doing good, Gene. Go.
You did a heck of a job, and it's now back in your hands, pal.
Oh, well, thank you. I caught some of it because I had another meeting going on. But just to clarify, Max, I know at the last meeting you did clarify that we did do a traffic study, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So as Amy just mentioned, a lot of the questions that the public is asking, a lot of them have been answered in the FEIS already.
Right.
This is not a different project than the project that was the subject of the DEIS and the FEIS, which are both online on the town website and can be reviewed. So when we talk about traffic study, the traffic study was in the DEIS. Our consultant reviewed it, made comments. Those were addressed in the FEIS.
Okay, good. I know because, listening.
Hold on, Dave's
Dave, I see
signaling time out, but he needs to unmute.
Yeah, Dave, you're on mute. You're on mute, Dave.
Dave,
Hear you.
Ron is out there in the public. Could you let him in as a panelist? Carlito, you were right. Ron Reedman, he's out there. Bring him in. Steve?
Yes, I'll do that right now.
Okay. Carlito was correct.
Oh, wait a minute. He just disappeared.
Oops. Maybe you weren't.
Hold on.
I still see him, Steve, on the attendees list, not the panel.
Yeah, no, I was under the attendees list. I don't see him there. Hold on a second. He was there before. Oh, I got him.
Thank you.
Okay, you should be coming in.
Okay, Tom, where we at? We gonna?
All right, where we go? Gene, you went over just a quick brief of what the workshops are, why we do them. If for the public that aren't familiar, what we're doing is we usually have TAC meetings before every planning board meeting, probably 2 weeks before. And since only 3 planning board members can attend, with such a big project, we wanted to make sure that all the planning board members could get up to speed on what we're talking about. So we came up with the workshops where we could get all board members and the consultants, and we had open to the public, even though it's not public input, they could still listen, so that the applicant can bring the board members, all of them, up to speed on everything that's going on. So that's why we do these workshops. So we're going to go. Gene, what do we want to go through? Did we want to go back through the traffic, or there's?
Well, I got a couple of questions.
I know you had some questions, so go ahead.
And you know, I'm not the expert that's done all this work on this project. I'm just a member of the planning board doing the best I can to siphon through this. I do remember earlier in the process saying, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, we'll get to it when we get to the site plan. So there are a couple of issues, whether they've been addressed, which I still have some, not issues, but I have questions. So the first question that bothers me the most, one of many, the applicant did a traffic study. We had our traffic consultant do a traffic study. And all they did was come up with the fact that they're going to put up 2 signs saying stop sign ahead. One of the other members of our board came up with the idea about the traffic light situation. My concern was, why didn't either one of these traffic consultants pick up on that? Because to be honest with you, will that work or not work? I don't know, because I'm not into that kind of a business. So I would like their opinion of that issue. Can they give us any more insight to make it better? Will it work? Will it not work? And the second question I had regarding the traffic situation is my suggestion or desire to have 2 exit lanes coming out of the applicant's location, which again, maybe the traffic consultant should have thought of that. So I have not the greatest faith, not saying they're wrong. It's not my purview. I know and I've read both traffic studies. They spent a lot of time dealing with West Main Street, East Main Street, and 9W, and not dealing with the real problem of what's down there by that railroad trestle, where the congestion is going to be. Everyone says, well, no, and we're talking about the flooding situation. Nobody wants to touch it, but yet it's an issue. I mean, it's a county road. The county doesn't want to do anything. The town's not going to do anything. I don't know if it's right for the applicant to do something, but it's an issue that has to be addressed. So that's where I am. If someone can answer those questions, that's fine. I'll go on to my next question after that. Someone else can talk.
I know we have Ron and Carlito on, and I'm not a traffic consultant. And a lot of times I find, traffic issues sometimes can be a little bit counterintuitive. You think, oh, they're speeding, we'll put up a stop sign, but, that's not what it's for. But my understanding, my recollection of what happened, and please, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we did the study, we came up with that solution, but we really thought that the town and the people of the town wanted the light. I don't think it met the warrants for a light. So what traffic consultants do is they measure certain, there are measurable, criteria that they apply in a study. And one of them is called warrants, and they're a DOT, basically standards. And it usually is, what's the traffic level and how many cars go through and does it meet the warrants? I don't think that these intersections met the warrants, but we thought and understood that you would appreciate it. And so we're agreeing to put up a traffic light. But Ron, please, I might have spoken.
I'll jump in, and then, Carlita could jump in from the town standpoint to answer Eugene's question. So we did a detailed traffic study based on, as you mentioned, Amy, a couple of iterations of the scope. The town's traffic consultant reviewed it. So the bottom line is the project itself won't significantly impact the area of roadways from a level service standpoint. That's why, other than signage to help improve the current operation of Beach, Tomkins, Depot, and Hudson, the way it operates right now, some additional signing just to, make it a little bit more safer. Through the process, and also discussion with the county, I believe, again, not from a level service standpoint, not because of the impact of our project, but to improve that intersection throughout the process. That's where the traffic signal came in for that location. So it wasn't because of the levels of service or our impact. It was just something to improve it further underneath existing conditions, as well as underneath future conditions. Amy was talking about a different issue, the Tomkins and 9W, which doesn't meet warrants. So we'd have to go a long way to get a signal approved there. And from the town's review standpoint, as part of our post-implementation study, we're going to monitor the 9W intersection for future signalization, as well as doing a further speed study as the project moves along to see if any further improvements, some additional signage, speed bumps along Tomkins is needed. But Carlito could jump in if he wants, but these improvements weren't necessary as a result of levels of service, but just to, improve the operation existing as well as future.
And I'm sorry, just before Carlito jumps in, because I want to clarify, and thank you, Ron, for clarifying the difference between level of service and warrants, because the warrants are on the state highway. But I think what Ron is saying, and what we've done a lot of here in this project, and I want people to understand it, is that we've gone a little above and beyond what we really would have to do by virtue of our impact, because we want to be a good neighbor, and it's a big project, and we've offered to do it. I'm sure we'll get to talking about off-site sewer improvements. The studies show in the DEIS and FEIS that this project alone didn't degrade the sewer system, break it, or is not going to increase it to the point where you need a new pump station. But we're doing some offsite improvements to help the situation, and to also, and we're donating some money to the town voluntarily to help with the study. So is it correct, Ron, that if pressed, you would say, those lights aren't warranted by the studies that you did, but we're offering to do it because future traffic and whatnot, we understand is coming online, and we're able to do it at those places, and so we're offering to do it. Is that correct?
Correct. And we're offering upfront to do the signal at Beach, Hudson, Depot, and Tomkins. And again, it's not really a necessary result of our project. It's to help just safety conditions that exist now, which, yes, will be adding traffic to it. So it's a win for both, existing additions as well as for our project. And I'll just jump one more comment I believe Eugene mentioned was 2 lanes coming out of Hudson. From a operational standpoint, level service standpoint, the 2 lanes wasn't needed, so that's why it wasn't addressed. And I believe Dave, I was going to look at if that's something that, could be done or not, but it's not necessarily needed from a level service standpoint from the project. And that's why it wasn't brought up by our office or the town's traffic consultant as well. So it wasn't missed, it wasn't necessarily needed.
Now, what determined that it wasn't needed? If there's one way in, one way out, and you either can make a left or right, why did you decide that it wasn't needed?
Well, just like a lot of the sections, especially if it's unsignalized, you necessarily wouldn't put a second lane there unless the volumes warranted it, as well as just it's not a DOT road, but the DOT doesn't really want that second. If it's unsignalized, that second lane, because it could, block views for left turns, making it looking to the right.
No, I think like Gene said, this intersection's is not like any other intersection in town. So I think that's why we were wondering why you wouldn't even think of that, because you have the tunnel right there. So people making the left could go, the ones making the right, might have to wait.
And just to further clarify, another reason now that the signal is being put in there, that it wouldn't really wouldn't be necessary. Not that we couldn't do it, I guess, but that another reason why it's not necessary with the signal, it's going to operate as 4 phases. So when the light turns green for Hudson, everything else will stop, and that traffic left and right will be, for lack of a better word, free flow. Then that will shut off, and then Beach will go. That will shut off, and then Tomkins westbound will be protected just with green, and then that will shut off, and then Depot Plaza will operate green by itself, and you'll avoid all those conflicting movements. So with the signal system, the intersections will operate better, and no need for additional lanes on those approaches. Again, not that we couldn't do it, but that's, further reason why it wasn't looked into.
Curly,
Let
go ahead, Gene.
let me just re-comment. I understand exactly what he said, what's warranted, what's not warranted study-wise. I'm getting down to the real world of being down there quite often and seeing the traffic situation now. And right now, it's a fairly dangerous situation. I'm grateful and I'm glad they're willing to put the lights in, Maybe something could be done on Depot, maybe making it an exit only or an entrance only, but that's a minor situation. But I still believe that the 2 exit lanes it's not for an everyday use. That it's a big issue. It's an issue if something happens and it's an emergency and we have to evacuate. And panic comes in. In my opinion, again, I'm not a traffic guy, and all due respect to you, Ron. I mean, if you live there and you're leaving every day, and you have to make a left, there's a left lane. If you have to make a right, you're going to make a right lane. You become accustomed to creatures of habit. If we had the 1 lane, I just feel it wouldn't be enough. It'd be sheer panic, and that's the reason why I brought it up.
Okay, I'll just jump in one more time and then someone else could take the floor. If you're concerned about 2 lanes coming up of Hudson because of emergencies, I think that's been addressed with, in that time of emergency, the access through Hunter.
Okay, that's your opinion, and I have mine, and it's good. Thank you very much, though.
This is Carlito Holt with Provident Design Engineering. We are the town's traffic engineering consultant retained on the project. If you want, I know there was some questions, John O'Rourke kind of filled me in on some of the comments about concerns about whether, there was a traffic study done and how much that traffic study may or may not have been vetted. So I could take you through kind of a history of what was submitted and reviewed on our part, if that would be a benefit to the board. Otherwise, I could kind of jump in directly to Gene's comments about the additional lane and the signalization and the emergency access.
I think you go with Gene's comments, but then give a brief overview of what you guys have done. Like you said, summarize what you did with the traffic study so everyone kind of understands.
Right. Yeah. So, I'll probably kind of be reiterating what Ron had said. With respect to the signal at the underpass, we felt, based upon what was submitted, that the stop signs that were proposed were an improvement upon what is out there today and would be an acceptable form of mitigation. But the applicant is now going above and beyond that and taking on what is really a significant added cost of installing a traffic signal. And yes, it wouldn't be warranted from a volume standpoint, but it's really a safety improvement. And you wouldn't necessarily add additional lanes unless they're needed from a capacity standpoint, because the more lanes you add on an approach, it creates the opportunity for more conflicts with people changing lanes, as well as blocking sight distances, as Ron said. So unless the capacity issue is constrained, you wouldn't want to add unnecessary lanes. And that would go for the Hudson Drive approach as well, especially that being an unsignalized approach. So, I think what Ron was indicating, we would also confirm based upon standard traffic engineering practice. And they are making improvements to the Hunter Place underpass to allow that to be a secondary emergency access in the event that Hudson Drive was blocked for any reason in the event of an emergency. Just kind of going back historically, we were retained back in, I believe it was actually the end of 2018, to review this application from a traffic standpoint. Mazer, or now Colliers, had prepared a draft traffic impact study dated February 15th, which we reviewed and issued a review memo back in April of 2019. Based upon that review, they formalized their technical appendix or their traffic impact study to be included in the draft environmental impact statement, which was originally submitted in September of 2019. We provided completeness comments on that DEIS from a traffic standpoint. They submitted an updated DEIS back in November, which had additional completeness comments, which ultimately resulted in the DEIS being accepted in December of 2019, at which time we prepared a technical review of the traffic study contained in the accepted DEIS and issued a comment memo in February of 2020. And they ultimately addressed those comments in the FEIS, and ultimately the town adopted a finding statement. And I would just touch upon some of the key mitigation in that finding statement. The first of which we already discussed is the traffic signalization at the underpass, which I think is a significant added safety benefit to the area. Although they're not adding a second lane on the Hudson Drive exiting movement, they are widening Hudson Drive, and that would be resurfaced and restriped as part of the application. We talked about the Hunter Place underpass is going to be improved to allow emergency access. It will be gated, so it wouldn't allow regular vehicular access, but it will be designed to accommodate pedestrian and bicycle access. So residents or other patrons wishing to get down to the waterfront could use that underpass if they're on bike or on foot. And Ron touched upon briefly, they're also going to be performing a post-implementation monitoring study. And what's critical about that is a lot of the projections for this proposed project are projections, they're estimates, and we rely on institutional data that is out there from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. But what they're going to go back and do is when the project is significantly occupied, go out and do counts and make sure that those projections were either on what was projected or at least above, right? What we don't want to see is that it's generating significantly more than what was projected. And if it is, there's potential that they may have to come back and look at doing additional mitigation. They would monitor the 9W and Tomkins Avenue intersection for potential future signalization. And Ron mentioned part of that post-implementation study would gather speed data on some of the local roadways to confirm that there wasn't a significant increase in vehicle speeding through the neighborhoods. And if there was, then we would need to look at doing some additional traffic calming measures to slow traffic and make sure that safety is maintained for the residents that reside in that area.
Gene, is that good? You want to go more detail with that?
I don't need any more detail. I understand where they're both coming from.
Yeah.
I still have my concerns, and let it be. I know it's a safety issue.
No, yeah.
We'll go. We see what gets addressed.
All right, thanks, Gene. I know that we're going through traffic. Does any of the other board members? I know Jerry had brought that up with the lights, and we talked about that. And I'll go Mark, Carey, Mike. Any other comments with the traffic at this point?
The only question I had, I think it might have been answered in a prior meeting, was school buses. Whether it was going to be the vans or big buses coming in and out of there, and where's the bus stop, and if it's a rainy day, our cars going to be lined up because they're not, folks that are living down there aren't going to want their kids standing out in the rain. you know, and that can back things up. If you've got a line of, you know, a dozen cars of parents waiting for the bus to come with their kids.
Yeah, I remember that question coming up as well. I'm not sure of the answer, but I know that either Dave's office or Ron's office, I believe we did speak to the school district. Dave, can you add anything to that?
Yes, the school district's going to service the site to the cul-de-sac. So school bus, van, either one, can come into the site and there's a cul-de-sac and make a U-turn. Prior to entering the cul-de-sac on the right side, coming in, there's a bus stop. So that's put there for the kids and the bus. And then if the parents, like they normally do, if it's raining outside or the kids are younger and they drive them to the bus, the parking's right there for the commercial parking. You have parking, at least 5 or 6 spots right at the entrance. You also have parking across the street, so there's plenty of parking. There's no need to park in the street. There's plenty of parking, so I think that's available to the parents, and the buses are gonna deliver. It's something new. Not too long ago, they would not go on a private street, but they started with the Ginsburg project in Haverstraw. And if you allow them a cul-de-sac to turn around, that they don't have to back up and do a K-turn, they now do service private developments. So that's what we planned on.
Okay, great.
Good, thanks. Mark, I know you have something.
Yeah, and I can anticipate the answers. Beach Road is continuing to deteriorate. I don't know if anybody's been down there lately, but the wall and the footers for the wall are continuing to deteriorate, and it's not going to get better unless somebody addresses it. I think I know the county's response, but has anybody solicited any input from the county as to a plan to repair or maintain this? Because I can see when you guys start hauling truckloads of fill coming down that road. I mean, the road is starting to crack already. You start hauling truckloads of fill up and down that road, you know, we can guess what's going to end up happening there. So has anybody talked to the county since the start of this to see if they've changed their perspective?
There's 2 things to that. New York Rising did a study for it, and New York Rising at the time was going to improve the road, but they couldn't get the cooperation of the people that lived on the road. It's a county road, and no more than about 4 months ago, you had the county highway director in front of this board, and they didn't ask that gentleman. So I did ask, and they're not going to do nothing. They plan to do nothing, and they're not going to do nothing. I don't know what the story is. I asked the town board to write them a letter, but it's a county road. It's been that way, and it's and you're absolutely correct. It's being undermined every time the tide comes in. So until the people on the road or the town board or even the planning board can write a letter to the county, Andy Connors, and say, listen, we dealt with you. We did you straight. How about coming out? And, you know, it isn't going to take much to fix that road. A little concrete, and they could do it. But they do nothing to the road other than watch it drop. So,
Andy Connors?
Yes, he's the assistant director of the Rockland County Highway Department.
Also your local legislative representative too, because, you know, I find, you know, if you can go to them and say, you know, look, can you allocate some, you know, some funds to do something? And I think that study Dave came up with suggestions on the solution, right? But it's right sitting on a shelf.
The problem is that the solution that New York Rising wanted to do as a personal opinion, I'd say they wanted to make it a super highway, you know, and that's what the code is. They got to put shoulders, you got to take property, and it was going to be encroaching on people's property, and I don't understand that. But
Plus,
to go down,
I believe they were trying to raise the road significantly as well,
Yeah,
which would have put the residents down there in a fishbowl.
in a puddle, yeah.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't stop them from going down there, and it wouldn't take much. You know it. They could go down there and they could pave the road again. All they would have to do is level the road out with pavement, and it would work. But they do nothing. So
Well, they'll have to shore up the wall there a little bit to keep everything in place. But I mean, that's probably not a discussion we're going to solve anything.
No. I asked the board directly. I asked the town board, and I've asked this board, you know, to write a letter, drop a letter to the town board or something. It's an issue.
Okay.
Can
I got the pen
I
taken,
just
so thank you.
interject something here? I mean, we've had this issue with the pier and the town board. I seen the letter they submitted. I don't know if the planning board submitted a letter, but it'd be, you know, anything's an improvement. Maybe we should,
All right.
Tom, we should see if the town board fathers will do something.
All right, Max, Steve, you think we could put something together? What do you think? Just have them, like Gene said. Oh, sorry. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the planning board can make any recommendation to the town board.
All right. All right, maybe we'll draft, if we could draft something, we'll send it to the town board, see if they can, you know, work with the county to see if they can do something with Beach Road. Because like Mark said and Gene said, no matter what goes on this site, if it's this project, another project, Beach Road has to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say it makes the most sense if somebody could at least take a stab at identifying the issues that they want remedied. I don't know if maybe Mark, even just putting down what you would want the county to fix, what you think needs to be addressed, and then I could certainly polish it up to be a letter from the planning board to the town board.
All right.
That works. Thank you.
Yeah, that works. I think Mark and Gene probably travel that road a lot. They probably, out of all of us, they probably have the, you know, they know it better than anyone. They're on that road all the time. Yeah, it's good. What else? We're good. I know Mike, I see you on. You have any update, input? Are you okay with what's going with the traffic right now? Any questions? I hear him. No? All right. Mark, what do you want to, I know you had questions. You want to, like, for the sewer? Is that our, did we want to go over that next? We're kind of done with the traffic stuff, I would assume.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know there's talk of an agreement between the town and the applicant for some infrastructure repairs. I mean, is there an agreement in place, and does it address in detail what's going to get done as far as infrastructure improvement down there with the piping? I know you talked about replacing a length of pipe down there. Is that the extent of it?
Well, Dave, I think there's 3 off-site improvements, perhaps 4, depending on the way you look at it. But I think to answer your question, Mr. Johnson, is that we're going to actually put that in the site plan. So it's not even going to be some side agreement or anything. There's going to be pages, sheets of the site plan that show what the improvements are going to be and how we're going to do them. Is that correct, Dave?
Absolutely, yes. That's what we decided, so everybody could see it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the three spots we've talked of previously.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I know I've asked this before about the treatment plant rated for 1 MGD. What is it currently running at? I know they've made some improvements down there to the plant. What is it currently running at? What is it projected to run at once Eagle Bay, and there's another project going to be coming online also in very close proximity? I mean, do we have verifiable documentation of like an impact study and an impact analysis down there for the plant?
Yeah, they read.
I know there was a flow study done on site and just off site, but we have information from the plant as well.
Every day they have to do flows of what's coming in for their permit. So that's right. pretty well documented, and it's running about 800,000. And just recently they fixed the pipe that was broke up on the system, and they believe that it saved 10,000 gallons a day. And we believe that the spots we're going to fix the pipe, it will also save infiltration. The problem isn't the plant. The plant has plenty of capacity. It's the problem of infiltration throughout your system. And that's why we believe that the 3 spots we're going to fix will actually not create any more inflow into the system. But there's areas, the Lankin-Tully study raises them and has it in red in the book. It's a book of about 700 pages, and it shows it's throughout the town of Stony Point. And the 3 areas that we're going to fix are underwater. The pipe's underwater, so you know it's not working right, and it's leaking. So there isn't a problem with the plant, and they also are doing upgrades on the plant. To that effect, I don't know. They were in the middle of that. You almost would have to talk to Carl Javanis. I think he's probably the most up to date on that.
Right.
But there is money going throughout the system to update the system and to eliminate all the breaks that there is.
All right, good. Anything else on with the sewer? Gene, Carrie, Mike, Mark, anything?
I've got a question from one of the other members. Is there a written acknowledgement from the sewer agency as to capacity? Like Dave said, they have a daily tally that they've got to report. So I'm sure that's easy enough to compile.
Yeah, we did that. When we did that study for three weeks, we had those manholes with the monitoring. Then we had the pump. They don't have a meter on the pump station, which I thought was a little odd, but the only meter they have is what they do down at the plant. And that's where we're picking it. Yes, every day. And they have to read it every day. So, you know, it's there. It's in the book.
Hey, Mark or Dave, you probably, what's GPD average? I know John O'Rourke had sent me something that the sewer flow was estimated at 65,000, I guess, gallons, right? GPD average.
That's this year's, yes.
And then it's got 140,000 GPD max is what is provided in the secret findings, right?
Right, and the plant runs about 850 a day, gallons per day, 850,000.
Okay.
So there's a little leeway there, but the whole point is the system needs to have some money put into it and fix it all through. Not to belabor the point, but when they started to put the cable through these subdivisions, they busted pipes like crazy. Nobody ever held them accountable for that. And that's what this, you know, the town is going back through and doing up in these subdivisions around Filer's Lane, Washburn's Lane, and all them areas.
All right. So basically, Mark, I know I've been talking to Carl, and he says they were working on some agreement in writing. So I guess we need to get that from the town board.
Yeah, I'll get with Carl and
you get Carl. I know that they were working on something, so at least we have something to look at. I guess, Mark, any other thing? I guess the question I had was, I know, Gene, you had the questions too with CSX, with the, with Hunter Place, like lowering and, what happens if they say no? Or,
That was my, let me just add on to that.
Oh, go ahead.
I understand from what Dave said previously that, under Ed Day's law, they can't file a permit until we approve the project. So my question is, this applicant was going through a fortune of money and time with all these experts. The question is, Amy, did you ever reach out to CSX to get a feel of what's going on? I mean, I just can't believe at this point that you've not had any contact with them saying, hey, this is where we're at, what we're doing, but we can't do it now because we don't have the approval. So that you cannot apply. I mean, have you been in contact with them at all?
Gene, we've answered that many times. The actual emails are in the document. We've went over that. We can give you the papers to read, but we can't force people to read it. Of course we went to them, just like we went to the health department and everybody else. But we can't get a permit. Years ago, you used to be able to go get a permit, and you were required to have the permit so you could get final, but you can't do that now. So our hands are tied. But the emails back and forth with CSX, you have copies of it, and you have to read this stuff. I don't mind answering this over and over again, but we did everything possible. When it gets final approval, the town of Stony Point has to apply for the permit because the town owns the utility. And the applicant can do the work, but the town has to file for the permit, and that's what we have to do. Now, if something happens, if people change or something else changes, just like the sewer, the water, we would have to come back to the board if we can't build it to the way we agreed. So there's checks and balances, but we've provided that information on CSX many times, and it's in the documents.
Well, the question I'm trying to read, I'm not saying, I agree with that. All I'm trying to say, in all the documents submitted, have you had any dialogue with them to have an indication that you're going to have an issue? So.
No, there's no issue. They to them, it's not even worth discussing if you read the emails. It's a replacement of a utility. It would be a difference if we're putting a utility through or we're digging it out just to excavate it. No, it's the replacement of the utilities, and in real life, it changes the grade about a foot.
That particular permit, my understanding from Dave is that it's not a real heavy lift because where it's the roadway under the trestle. And I know a lot of the comments that we heard at the public hearings, maybe I can, if any of those same people are on, I'll just answer. We're not touching the trestle. We're not, at all widening anything or, CSX is, if you get near their actual tracks and stuff, and they will make you pay for a very expensive flagman to be there. And, this is like national trade sort of issue. So replacing something under, a trestle that's not going to impact the trestle at all, but is really on the roadway that just happens to be under the trestle. And my understanding, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, is that's just not a big deal permit for them.
And you know what that means? It could change in 2 seconds. But the fact is the town went in and paved it all the way through underneath the trestle. It's a town road, so it's recognized as a town road. If it wasn't a town road, it could be issues. But
to Gene's point, of course, we are spending a lot of money, and so we've reached out to all these agencies so that when hopefully you guys give us the go-ahead, we're on the precipice of hitting the button and sending in the permit request or asking the town to do so in this case.
I really wasn't asking about the sewer situation. I was basically in my mind thinking about lowering the road, there'll have to be some drainage there. And that was my concern. I understand the town has the right to ask for the permit, and we'll get it for the sewer situation. It was the lowering of the road that my concern was with, that be an issue with CSX, that's all.
Mhm.
That's all I got to say.
Wow, right, thanks, Gene. I think, no, I think we understand, Dave. It's like, if we were doing work on the tracks, like we had at another project down the road, yes, it involves CSX because they'd have to close the tracks, but now that it's under, like you're saying, for them, it's not a big deal. And I kind of understand, but I understand, Gene, it's still under the tracks. So,
It's both,
Yeah.
it's existing, you're doing maintenance to an existing pipe. And
Right.
that's why it's not a big deal and it's a town road. But if it was one of these other culverts and that condition wasn't there, then there would be a difference.
no, all right, thank you. And we kind of repeat things, Dave. We're sorry because it's a big document. And sometimes I miss things, so you have to like humor us. That's why we have that's why we have the workshops, because sometimes at TAC meetings we talk about these. Some of us are at them, so when we do the workshop, then we all get to hear it. So I appreciate it. Thank you. What else, Mark? Anything else? I think with all of that stuff, I mean, we went through the traffic, we went through some of the improvements.
Yep,
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna be moving on to the pier at some point, I mean, I could wait until we touch on that.
We could, I think,
Or are we there?
I don't think, Carrie, Mike, you have any other, if you don't have any questions with what we were going, if we want to go to the pier, we could, hit that. Max, you don't have anything on this, anything we're talking about, right? Or John?
Not at this time.
All right. Then I guess we could go to our favorite subject, the pier.
Yes.
So I'm gonna come to Shay.
I knew it. Yeah, Shay's here. The only update we have since the last time we talked to you was received this morning, and Connor's on. We got correspondence from Alex Ryan at the Army Corps of Engineers that they will be putting the pier out to public notice next week, and they'll have a short public notice period, which for them is 15 days. During which time all of the public, including SHPO, including the other stakeholders, including Space, the Palisades Park Commission, and whoever else is available, will have the opportunity to submit their formal comments to the Army Corps. So what that means is that it effectively truncates SHPO's requirement or SHPO's coordination of review. It will set a finite time period to do that, and then when the public comment period is done, the Army Corps can then very simply make their decision and issue the permit. So that's the update on that portion. That being said, they've also independently reached out to, we understand from Alexandra Ryan at the Army Corps, that they independently reached out to SHPO, to Space, Palisades Park Commission, and Scenic Hudson to just discuss the jurisdictional issues. Right now, it looks like tentatively, and it's not official, that they're drawing their jurisdictional boundaries approximately 30 foot away from the shoreline, inboard of the shoreline. And if Army Corps does that as such, that means the federal 106 procedures would be limited by that jurisdiction. However, they won't finalize that decision until after the public comment period. So that's a full update. DEC still is awaiting SHPO's findings, and that will continue to be discussed.
And they're still pushing back on the width of the pier?
We haven't gotten any response further from that. So the correspondence you guys have that went in as part of the letter that we sent to the chairman and to Mr. Homan is the current information that we have. So any other information at this point will be in the form of either public notice comments or further notices of incomplete applications from the agencies themselves.
All right. Max, Steve, the town boards, did they send a letter? Yeah, right? I think
I'm
they
not
did.
aware if the town board did or not.
Huh. All right,
Town board sent a letter.
I think I think they might have sent a letter. We could follow up with the supervisor.
Yeah,
They did,
two
like,
or 3 weeks ago, we sent a draft letter to the chairman for review,
Right.
and we weren't told whether or not it went in.
I think, Max, didn't we? I could have sworn we sent it to them.
Yeah, we did see a draft of it come through here. I don't know if the town board has seen it or sent it. I would need
Tom,
to.
I mean, I read the letter too. I kind of liked it. Why don't you check with the town fathers to see, or the town supervisor, if that letter went out, or the town clerk?
All right, we could check. We could do that. All right.
So when is the public comment period going to open? Because if it's going to be, in the next few days, maybe the best thing is for the town board to send the letter as part of the public record there?
It'll take about a week to do that, and then it's a 15-day period to open. Frankly, the town responding through a public comment period doesn't have the same impact than if they send it through their electeds as a separate specific discussion.
I'll follow up to see if I thought they had sent something, but I'll follow up.
Yeah, my understanding was that it was sent, but if it wasn't, and you need our help or anything.
Maybe it was, and that's why the Army Corps decided to convert it to a standard permit with a public notice period.
All right. Yeah, we'll follow up.
Yeah, I know it was discussed that it was going to be sent. I don't know if it was sent or not, but I don't believe the town board sent us a copy of what they sent. So I think we should find out what was sent.
All right.
Probably send one.
Can I also, Tom?
Hmm.
Could you, while you're checking on that, could you also have the supervisor and or the town board get in contact with some of the officials or representatives, assembly people?
Yeah, I think I had asked them last time, but I'll follow up with them again.
I think some were CC'd on the letter, if I recall, or at least suggested to be CC'd.
So we just went through this exercise in Freeport down on Long Island where one of the state senators, I think State Senator Brooks, was brought in by an owner that was having trouble getting any answers from the DEC and the Army Corps. Obviously, the DEC was easy. They got immediate response back from the DEC when the state senator inquired to the Division of the Environment in the governor's office. They got zero response from the feds, simply because, federal and state senator. That being said, when the public notice goes out, it happens to be that all the electeds in each district for the projects will get notification that the public notice is out. So it's great to have your electeds know that the public notice is coming out from the Army Corps, and eventually when the DEC is there, simply because then they're aware of it, that you've made the call from your constituency, and they can then work more effectively to influence it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll follow up. All right. What else did we have? Anything, Gene, anything else we wanted to go through the workshop, or? I think that's about it, right?
But Mary, didn't you have questions from Jerry? Or they?
Yes, I gave them to Mark.
Oh.
And I think Mark asked them, right, Mark? Yeah. Mark, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Do we have any written approval from the town fire inspector on file for the plan submitted so far?
No, not the.
I don't think we have, right?
Right. Yeah.
That question was by somebody at the public hearing, and I think our answer to that we sent the town a response. Rami sent it few days ago, I guess. Basically going through the comments, and she might have consolidated some, but while there's no technical written response from the fire inspector, he's been intimately involved in this whole thing from the beginning.
Yeah.
So he reviewed everything that went into the DEIS, the FEIS. He would have had to sign off on that in order for us to get to the point where we are today. So it's kind of like there's no okay, I agree, but
there's no final sign off on.
Yeah, but
but
he obviously was, I mean, we know we've met at the site with him. He's been in all the workshop meetings, and he was actively involved in all of the information that went into the DEIS. And my understanding, I don't want to speak for Tom, but my understanding is that he's okay with what we have at this point, but want to confirm with him.
Yeah, we could ask if he's at the next this month's meeting. All right.
I think that's pretty much all I've got.
Yeah. Mike, you have anything? I see you on there and just want to check, see if you got any questions. Is he off? There he is. Mike, anything? No, I didn't hear him. All right. I'll go. There he is. Mike, I can't hear you if you're talking. No. Nope, can't hear you. Dave and Amy, just to I guess state it again. I know it's been brought up many a times, but you guys have been in contact with the school district, like Dave said. He talked about the bus, so the school district is aware of the project.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because I know that we've had questions, people saying the school district. I know they've seen it. The county has seen this. The ARB's been looking at it. So there's other agencies that have been looking at that, not just us. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in touch with them. The data we got for the DEIS, we had to get from them.
Right, and people, I think
the assessor to confirm some of this stuff. So, we were that they're intimately aware.
Okay. That's. I just want. I know, like Dave said, Gene said, or Max had said, like the EIS. We went into a lot of this with the schools, all this with the traffic, and this right now is on the site plan, which was different from the EIS. So we have all the documentation, like you said, the EIS, but this is the site plan. So I think just to let the public know that, a lot of the questions they had, we've already addressed in the EIS about traffic. You've been on contact with the school district. So, everyone's aware of the project. So it's not like it's a surprise that no one's been looking at it and haven't been given us comments.
Yeah, no, in fact, if you guys recall, we reopened the whole process because one comment was made.
Right. One comment was when we reopened it.
During COVID, and just, so we reopened it just to address that comment. So we've addressed every single comment that, came in from school district to other agencies. The list of interested agencies here is very long, and they've all been notified. And, that period for commenting on the seeker analysis in the DEIS/FEIS, that's now over, and now we're looking at
the site plan.
Okay, where is this building gonna go? If the school district had a comment, is the cul-de-sac big enough?
We did all that. All right, good. Max, you got any things you want to bring up during the workshop? Or?
No, I think you know, the one question I wanted to understand was where the 106 review was in process, and I think Shay addressed that previously. So I'm comfortable at this point.
All right. I think I lost John. Gene, anything?
No, the only question is, Steve, how many people are on Zoom today? Do you have any idea?
I see 23. We have 17 panelists and 6 attendees. So 17 of the panelists and 6. At one time we had 9 attendees, and a couple of them dropped off. So we're 23 altogether.
Okay.
I've been monitoring them. It's been an average of about 8 attendees.
Yeah.
Becoming about 8.
All right. Good. Anyone else have any other things? Carrie, anything we missed? All right. Mark? No, we're good. Mike? I keep losing him. I see your mic off, but I don't hear you. But I guess, no. Steve, anything? We good with the...
No, nothing further.
All right. I guess, you know, I want to thank you guys again for doing the workshop. What we'll do is, when's our next, the regular meeting is the
27th.
Yeah, 27th, where we still have the public hearing.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. But if no one else has any other comments, Dave, go ahead.
Is this gonna be on Thursday's workshop, the normal one?
Oh, on the, fifth?
Thursday.
13th.
Thursday.
What do you want?
I mean, I don't, that's up to you.
I won't be able to make it, but I think Jerry was gonna, Mary, who else is gonna be at the workshop? Do we need, I mean, if we went through stuff now.
So far I have Jerry and Jean.
Is there?
I'm a definite maybe. You know, I got a commitment there. I don't know if I want to get done in time. So.
I mean, if there's not, I mean, will you have anything new to bring up? Or you're gonna be, will this one be good enough for you?
I just wanted to be prepared if it's on.
We're having the workshop. We're having the TAC meeting, but I don't know if you wanted to be on or not.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, I think that the chairman stated it pretty well when he said, look, we're doing this format so that people can see, you know, what goes on, you know, in lieu of a TAC meeting. So I'm not sure, I mean, unless there's something that you want to sit down and roll up your sleeves about and look at the plans on, we're happy to come. But, you know, you let us know if you want either.
Yeah, it's up to you. I guess, Dave, if you have anything new, but I don't, like Gene, we went through everything we might have tonight. I don't think we'll have anything new for Thursday.
Oh,
it's
no.
up to.
I'd be surprised if
I
there's
don't know
anything
what
new.
happened here.
What happened? I see you, Mayor.
What's the matter, Mary?
Okay.
Also, just a quick update, and Mary's been working hard on this, but we're shooting for another ARB meeting this month, which hopefully will wrap everything up.
Oh, that's right. I was gonna ask you about the ARB.
So, you know, we did have one recently in a beautiful town park that you have, actually. It was very nice. And I think that's where we're going to shoot for having it again. And
I'm trying to have it on Tuesday. I just don't know about the weather, so I'm just trying to keep an eye out on it. If not, we can have it early the following week.
as long as it's not like really like pouring windy, that we are under that gazebo.
Under that thing, gazebo. Okay.
So I was gonna call you tomorrow and talk to you about it, so.
Is that the 18th, Mary?
Excuse me?
At the May 18th? Is that you're shooting for next
I
week?
think it's May 18th. I'm hoping for it. That's what I was looking at today.
For the ARB, right?
Yes, for the ARB. Yes, it would be the 18th.
All right. So I if we don't have anything else to go through tonight, I guess we can end the meeting and thank Dave, Amy,
Thank you guys.
and Shay. And thank
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you guys, and I
much, guys.
thank the board
Appreciate it.
members. Jennifer up there, thank you, everyone for joining. I'll just Gene, I just need a motion to close.
I'll make the motion.
Mark made it. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. So we'll close the meeting and we'll see you on the 27th.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Thanks a
Amy.
lot, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Good
Thanks,
night,
Mark.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.